or Ron Gardenhire right now.
I'd rather be Ron. He seems like he's living a good life.
Sure.
Welcome in, guys. It's our first official Twins preview, Twins episode in general. I mean, started the podcast early last fall. Obviously, the Twins were well out of competition by then. Saw a few fun starts by our opening day starter, Joe Ryan. So that was about the only excitement we were getting out of Target Field in the end of August into September. Baseball, a lot of guys that are no longer with the club or won't be seeing much time up at the big level this year. So this is going to be a fun episode. There's a lot to uncover. Basically, what we're going to try to do is we have Chris, we have Juddy, we have Steve, and we're all here going to give our thoughts on where we think this team's going to end up come September. Or is this a playoff team? Can we compete with our division? Are we going to be able to top the White Sox like many people thought we were going to last year before just absolutely falling apart? And this year, obviously, a lot of new faces, so that's going to be a big part of this podcast is breaking down our new acquisitions and kind of looking at more of the bigger picture as to, is this Twins team really competing, or are they just trying to fill the seats and convince people to buy beer at Target Field in order to, so to speak, not really compete fully and just
Go to the
act like
game and
they are.
socialize.
Overpriced beer at that.
Yeah, $12 these days. It might be more now. So,
And inflation.
yeah, I mean, we'll start it off with that. I think Falvine has done not that great of a job, right? And that's kind of been, I would say, before the last 2-3 weeks. Coming into this podcast, which we were planning on doing anyways, obviously, before the moves, we were ready to bash them, and I was at least, and I think that they really did nothing all offseason until, obviously, we recognized a room for improvement at the shortstop position, whether or not that was Correa or Isaiah Falafel, whatever his name is.
ISF.
Falafel. And yeah, so what do you guys think about this offseason and our best signings and trades that we've tried to do? Does it make up for what they've lacked in the past? Is this offseason going to be any different than, let's say, last offseason, for example, with the failing signings of Shoemaker, J.A. Happ?
Yeah. I mean, I think they've done a great job. I mean, we got Buxton locked up for 7 years, and obviously Correa was the best free agent available, and we desperately needed a shortstop. So it was quiet for a while, but we're definitely not in rebuild mode. We got to be going all in again this year with Correa and Buxton, and now Sonny Gray, and making lots of moves. I mean, we lost Garver. We don't have Cruz or Brios anymore, but we got new faces, like you said. So,
do you think, in hindsight now, that they wish they would have held on to Garver and not got a guy like Urshela, who's basically a logjam for...
I don't think we really needed Urshela. We could just have Arias play third base. Urshela's average, and Garver is like a really good hitting catcher. Sanchez might hit like 200, whereas Garver might hit 260 with a 360 OBP. So, yeah, I didn't want to see Garver go, but maybe Jeffers will be good.
Yeah, Garver looks like he's one of few guys who we were expecting to see out there this year who will no longer be with the team. Obviously, a lot of guys moving on that we really didn't expect back. Michael Pineda signing a deal with the Tigers. Twins never really expressed too much interest in bringing him back. Obviously, going after a guy like Chris Archer, which maybe has a little more upside if we get him back to his previous form that he was probably 3 years ago. So it's a bit harder to go back in our brains as to the Chris Archer of the past when he was on the Rays and dominating and pitching in big games in the playoffs. He could definitely be that guy, but it feels like every offseason we're trying to convince ourselves that position pitcher, doesn't matter which position. I mean, we're trying to convince ourselves that these players of 2 or 3 years ago can reconvene on what they used to do.
Yeah, we'll see what Archer can do and Bundy, because Bundy sucked last year and Archer barely pitched. So hopefully one of them will work out. I mean, I would take that. I don't expect both of them to be good, but if one of them could throw like 120 innings with a 4.5 ERA, like sure, that's good enough for a 4 or 5 starter.
I'll still take either of those two guys over Shoemaker or Happ,
or
just based off of like upside. Yeah,
I mean, those guys
any three
were
of those
so
guys.
bad. Yeah, they were like 6+ ERAs, and they went like they literally were 3-15 combined last year. Schumacher and Dobnik. So okay,
Yeah,
ruined our season.
I think those guys obviously. I was listening to the radio the other day, and they mentioned, just kind of the difference in the pitching prospects and guys we brought in now are a bit different than what we've done in the past, where it's kind of a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, lefty. I mean, we brought in Rich Hill the year before, and then it's just kind of the same story where you're trying to... It doesn't excite you. And not that Chris Archer is exciting, but at one point he was hovering around 96, 97 miles an hour on his fastball before his injuries. So,
Cy Young candidate.
Yeah, I mean, the bullpen is right along there, and we'll get into that once we break down the roster and the pitching staff, the bullpen, all of that, and guys we like. But it seems like it's a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. A lot of guys who can throw a higher velocity and have a little bit more zip to their ball than what we've seen in the past. So let's start it off here with just going over the off season. Obviously, I think the Twins, like Chris mentioned, we're going for it. Whether or not certain fans like that or not, we're not rebuilding fully. We kept Buxton, and that was the first major signing of that. Then we trade for a guy like Sonny Gray, getting rid of our first-round pick from last year. And you don't do that if you're planning on not competing for a division title this year and making a playoff run, in my mind. And that was the very first move we did. And that obviously led to the Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela move, getting rid of Donaldson's money in order to free up cap space. Who at the time we thought we were getting Trevor Story. I think all of us were like, whoa, we might make a move at Trevor Story, but Correa kind of came out of nowhere, and we're pretty happy about it.
That's pretty easy to not go into rebuild mode. You just spend money.
Yeah, I think the Pohlads...
Well, we don't do that ever, so...
Oh, yeah.
They never do that, but...
It's baseball. Like,
they get
just
ridiculed.
go buy players.
Yep.
Like, what do you think all the top teams do? They just go pay players so much money.
Yeah. So obviously we can go over last year, just before this year, right? Then I mentioned last year wasn't very fun. We were not competitive, I would say, just at the
End of
All-Star
May.
break.
No, even the end of May, we were in last place. As soon as
The
Buxton
end of
got hurt,
April,
it was like pretty much
They were
over.
out of it 1 month into the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was...
They kept blowing saves, Colome, and we kept losing in those stupid extra inning games where they put a runner on second in the 10th inning. Or like those doubleheaders, there were 7 innings. Like, oh, okay, that's not a real game. But, yeah. Yeah, we were like 12-24 in May. So that was already seasoned over. You can't go double-digit games below 500 unless you're the Nationals from 2 years ago or whatever, 3 years ago.
Yeah, and obviously we saw Buxton start off super hot, and we're looking for a lot more of that coming this weekend.
He's been ripping the ball in spring training.
Super hot in spring training, and take that with a grain of salt, obviously, with players these days. But with a guy like Buxton, you want that because that shows that maybe this is going to be the year he finally gets over the hump.
Hey, he's locked in.
People say that year after year, and then he gets hurt. It's always a fluke injury, too. Sliding into second, getting hit on the hand. I think we were...
Yeah, you can't control that.
Yeah, and then, it's just weird injuries. And it just sucks because you see what he can be when he's healthy. So, right now he's healthy, and we're pretty confident in what we have with our current roster. Jorge Polanco was an all-star last summer. pretty good season for him.
Really good.
Nelson Cruz is also a name that I forgot to mention as a Twin who is no longer with us. He is now a Washington National. So obviously we moved on from him at the deadline last year, giving him a chance to compete for the playoffs with Tampa Bay before they gave us Joe Ryan. So, I mean, we'll take that in a lost year and a complete rental player with Cruz. Obviously, that designated hitter position is going to be up for grabs, and we'll talk about that here with some of the guys that are going to be filling that role. Gary Sanchez among one of them. Last year, pitching terrible. I mean, Chris, you wrote about that in your article. It wasn't our ERA.
The starter ERA was
hard
like
to believe.
5.18, and then we gave up the second most home runs in the MLB, which, trash.
I just felt like all of our starters never got out of the first 5 innings. And then when you're asking your relief and your bullpen to come in for that long every single game, I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster to keep giving up runs.
Maeda wasn't good last year, and then
he's hurt.
Tommy John, so he's out all this year. I mean, Barrios and Pineda are our only good pitchers, and then nobody else did anything except for Joe Ryan in September. Actually, Ober was pretty decent too, but not anything crazy good.
Yeah, and it also seemed like whenever our pitchers did have a good outing, our offense was just horrible, and we would score 1 or 2 runs and wouldn't be able to get them the win.
Yeah, well, just a couple of guys had a down year. Kepler was pretty bad last year.
Really bad.
But yeah, Polanco was amazing. That was one good highlight from our lineup. Sano was okay. I mean, Sano just does what he does.
We know what he is at this point. He's going to hit 30 bombs and strike out 175 to 200 times this season.
I feel like all of our guys in our lineup are pretty typical. They're right in the prime of their career. Arise, I mean, he's still 25, but you already know what you're going to get with him. He's going to hit 300, mostly singles, and 360, 370 OBP. Yeah, and same with Sano, probably 30 home runs. Kepler, 20 home runs, low average. So I think we know what to expect, but I think with Correa, we could definitely be a top 10 lineup. I mean, we were middle of the league last year, and I think if our bottom lineup can come through, that'll definitely help with Urshela and Jeffers. But I don't know what we're going to get from those guys, because Urshela last year, he was really bad. But 2 years ago and 3 years ago, he was really good. So
same with Sanchez.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's what the theme seems like it is with the Twins. I mean, Sonny Gray was good, really good a couple years ago, then okay.
He's pretty good the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's
still.
okay, but he's not an ace level of what you're looking for,
no,
like he
he's
was as a rookie in Oakland. But just kind of the theme from this offseason is we're looking to rekindle the flame with a lot of guys who have been good. And then Correa, obviously there wasn't a pitcher out there for us to get at that point, so we got the best guy available, and he's going to help you in other ways to win games. And sure, we would love to have a pitcher that still could be in the fold, possibly as soon as today. We're hearing some rumors about Chris Paddock becoming a Minnesota Twin from the San Diego Padres, which would be cool. He was a top prospect not too long ago, and I just think that Correa is a guy who is essentially going to do what we wanted Donaldson to do when we originally signed him. Because when we signed Donaldson, he was a big money free agent, the biggest signing of our franchise's history, and obviously injuries plagued him, but he's able to take a really good offensive lineup and elevate it to the next level. And hopefully we're going to get that from Correa, not only defensively like we got with Donaldson when he was healthy, but offensively in the middle of that lineup. That's going to be really hard to stop with Buxton and Correa, and hopefully both of them stay healthy. It's a big what if, and really proves that hopefully Falveen can eventually do it.
Yeah, and hopefully Jose Miranda will be ready to come up and fill in wherever, third base, second base. And I just saw on Twitter, Ken Rosenthal said the Padres' target is Taylor Rogers.
Oof.
So I don't know if we do that. I mean, Chris Paddock's not that great. He's young, but his numbers last year were he had like over 5 ERA. Someone responded and said, "I'd put Archer in the closer role then." Like, okay.
Yeah, or Duran. I mean, Juan Duran is going to be, or John Duran, however you say it, he's going to be, hopefully by the end of the year, in consideration for late game scenario setup, 8th inning, 9th inning roles, throwing 100. We haven't had a talent like that in a while. Or when
Joel
we have,
Zumaya.
they flame out. Yeah. So it's definitely not something we're used to seeing. Obviously, we had Alcala last year throwing pretty hard. He'll be in the bullpen again this year.
Colomé trash.
Mm-hmm.
Colomé was a big flop, obviously, last year. And, yeah.
It started on opening day 2. He had to get 3 outs when we had a 2-run lead. Blew it.
Yeah.
Lost in extra innings.
It's funny because he was actually pretty good. Like,
he was really good.
May. I think he just wasn't ready for the season. But, yeah, I mean, we still got the same bullpen guys, Rogers and Alcala, Duffy, Thielbar. So
I'm really excited to see that young prospect, Winder, is it? Josh Winder.
Yeah, he looked really good in spring training.
He's had a really strong spring, and before we got Archer, he was probably going to win that 5th spot in the rotation, but sounds like he's going to start the year out of the pen. Obviously, with the lockout, the MLB is actually granting 28 roster spots versus 25, which is huge. Well, usually I think they start with 26. So 2 additional spots, which we're going to give to pitchers most likely, with Winder making the roster out of spring training. And we're going to use them probably in a late long relief role, 2 or 3 innings, and cut the starters a little shorter, seeing that they're not fully stretched out yet. We'll see a lot of starters probably only go 60 pitches, 70 pitches maybe.
Yeah, he'll for sure be getting starts at some point. I mean, just how it is, you're going to need more than 5 starters. Someone's going to get hurt or someone's going to do bad.
It's essentially what the Bundy and Archer signings are. You just need people to eat innings to start the year. If you strike gold, get them on 1 year's.
Yeah. Easy.
Done with them.
I mean, nothing to lose when you just give them a 1-year deal.
Right.
Like, okay.
And these young pitchers, you want to limit their innings. You don't want them throwing more than 120 innings.
Yeah. That was like Ober last year. He like would just start and do well, but he'd pitch like 4 innings. So,
Right.
But, I mean, probably for the better. Keep him fresh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The AL's pretty winnable this year, I'd say.
Yeah. I really like the only like
the East is deep.
Yeah. The only like super good teams are the Rays and the Yankees and well, maybe the Red Sox if they have good pitching. But like the AL West is not that good. I mean, Angels, they don't meet expectations. My Mariners might be pretty good though. But yeah, Central, it's like White Sox are, I mean, they won 93 games last year, and they have the same team plus a couple guys.
Lance Lynn's out.
Yeah, and they traded Kimbrel. So
Right.
But you never know. I mean, I think 88 to 90 games could win the division if the White Sox slip up a little bit from last year.
Right. You got 6 teams make the playoffs.
Yep.
So.
But one of those wild cards is for sure going to be someone from the AL East.
Right.
I mean,
Probably Toronto.
Yeah.
Their team is they actually are really, really good.
So 3 wild cards versus 2. Obviously, you look at the teams last year who made it. The Rays are going to be competitive again.
Mm-hmm.
I think Boston's going to have a little bit of a rebound depending on their pitching staff, like always. Chris Sale's still not healthy. You got the Yankees, of course, every year. Yeah, I mean, two of them are going to come out of the East. It feels like it every year.
Or
with
3.
Toronto, or 3. So we're competing with the East, essentially, and maybe Cleveland. Or probably the West is going to have the Angels. They're going to be competing. I mean, the Mariners are coming off a 91 season.
And they upgraded their pitching staff.
Mm-hmm. They got Jesse Winker.
And Eugenio.
A lot of additions: Julio Rodriguez, Jared
nasty.
Kelenic. So yeah, they're a team that we're going to be competing with down the stretch, and the Astros. So even with an additional playoff spot, you think the Twins will have, with an 85, 86, 87 win season. We're hopefully going to predict that for you guys here at the end of the show. We're going to have an extra chance this year that we might not have had in years prior, with it being ultra competitive in the American League. But I definitely think that this team has the lineup to do that, and let's get into that right now. So starting off with our starters, right? Or just looking at an average day, right? Luis Ariz, he's going to be in the lineup most days. He's hitting above 300 pretty much all the time. He's going to get on base.
Never strikes out.
Really good eye. Extremely high contact.
He'll be in the lineup every single game we face a right-handed pitcher.
I think he's going to play all over. Left field, third base.
He's like the perfect definition of a leadoff hitter. Like, he sees 6 to 7 pitches in the first at bat of like any game.
I just wish he could steal bases.
Art. Yeah, like he's not fast.
He's on base so much, but he doesn't steal.
I bet he ends up most of his starts DHing.
Yeah,
and then plays spottingly, like wherever we need him.
Urshela's good
he's
at
not.
third base.
He's not much of.
He's not an everyday third baseman. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's fun to watch.
Not like you need to have a rocket in the majors. If you get up all year, you got plenty of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think pencil him in to lead off opening day DH.
Sure.
Opening day DH against O'Reilly. Do we know who's starting for the Mariners?
Robbie Ray.
Oh,
lefty.
But
So it's all the same.
It's all the same.
He might second lead off at 9.
Possibly.
It's funny to have your DH at leadoff, though. I bet nobody else does that. I can't think of another.
Okay,
team.
we can be different.
Yeah.
McCutcheon.
Yeah, Buxton will be hitting second, unless Rocco does some weird stuff, which he might. I mean, he could put Correa second or Polanco second. I guess it really doesn't matter. They're all like very solid hitters.
Right.
But I'd rather have like your best hitter up second, which
I bet they put Buxton at 3.
3.
And Correa
he
at 2.
takes less pitching.
I would put Polanco
at.
I would put Polanco at 2, Buxton 3, Correa 4.
As long as Buxton and Correa are hitting back to back.
Because you need speed on the bases when Correa comes up, regardless. So you got to have Buxton ahead of him. Polanco would. Yeah, Polanco's probably hitting second if I were making the lineup card.
Yeah.
Correa has more power than both of them. Well, Polanco just hit 30 homers, so I guess I can't really say that. But
yeah,
still not juicing anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Correa will just be the same as he has been his whole career, like 25 home runs, 90 some RBIs.
All-star.
Good D.
Gold Glove.
Yeah. So
best player we've had in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure Sano will be 5th every game unless he is on a super cold streak.
And he'll be in AAA.
Sano had a big year last year. Obviously, a lot of strikeouts, but he can hit major power in the middle of this lineup. Mm-hmm. Same with Kepler. Our lineup is so varied, like on which version of which player you're going to get. Sano, Kepler, which guy's going to show up each day. Alex Kirilloff, right? He's going to be in the lineup, and he's really raw, but I think he's going to take another step. I mean, he was a major prospect, then gets hurt by the COVID year, and had an injury as well, I believe. And then he came back. We wanted to get him up here. We needed him in a lost year, and he played okay at times, but obviously just not as exciting as you might expect from our expectations originally with him being our top prospect. I mean, he even hopped Royce Lewis being our top prospect a few years ago, and with how he was doing in the low A ball, and he was even hitting really well in Double A. So he's done well at every level. He's just struggled a little bit at the big league level, sometimes for his lefties, and he'll be probably playing a bit of first base and also in left field. So look to keep your eyes out for possibly a breakout season from just 24-year-old Alex Kirilloff. Next up is my guy, Gary Sanchez. He'll probably be our starter behind the plate or DHing most days. We're going to keep his bat in the lineup. What I'm most scared about is having Gary Sanchez and Miguel Sano heading back-to-back.
It's going to be a lot of double Ks.
I mean, I watched not that much of spring training, but the few games I've watched, it's a lot of strikeouts from those two. So,
yeah, well, I think him and Jeffers will be pretty even in terms of playing catcher. I mean, Jeffers is younger, so...
Yeah, I like that move of getting rid of Garver because Jeffers deserved more playing time than he was getting last year. He looks good in stints, obviously. He's gotten better defensively working with our coaching staff at the majors. He was a catching prospect coming up, and that's really what led him to be our backup was his ability to have an impact bat in the lineup. And, I like him. I think he's just 24 years old. He could be possibly our starting catcher for years to come.
And then Urshela will probably sit down there at like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Just, I guess there's not like a lot of pressure on him to do that well, but it would be nice for him to hit like 20 plus home runs.
Yeah, and obviously if he's not performing and he's in the lineup, we have a guy over in St. Paul who we're going to talk about in a bit here, who would love to take his spot over at third base and definitely will at some point this year in Jose Miranda.
Yeah, and don't forget about Nick Gordon, too. He looked pretty good this spring.
Until he collided with Max Kepler last weekend.
Yeah, he's all right. We need a fast guy besides Buxton. Nobody on our team is fast or steals bases. Like, everyone just is, like, slow, apparently.
Yeah, we don't have many fast guys outside of Buxton, which is weird. I mean, how many other guys do we have that could possibly steal 10 bases on our team?
Polanco, maybe.
Polanco and maybe
Kepler if he tries.
Correa, maybe. Is Correa slow?
He doesn't steal bases.
Too rich.
He probably doesn't want to. Like
that's fair.
I'd slide into second there, but what's
slide into second, jam a finger in my hand.
Yeah.
Easy.
So now that we have Correa, I've been wondering, like, do we trade one of our prospects? Like, we have 3 shortstop, like Martin, Royce Lewis, and Nick Gordon.
Tonight.
Well, that's what we have.
Yeah, we get now they're exploring it.
I think we try to
Paddock.
We got to try to get like a lefty.
Essentially a prospect.
Yeah,
true. I mean, what do you get? He was amazing 2 years ago.
Yeah, he's what 25.
Terrible
26?
last year. Got good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be interesting. We have the firepower to make a move, whether it's for Paddock or a different.
I'm just saying, with like 3 middle infielders after you just sign Correa to like a huge deal.
Yeah, but how long is Correa going to be here for?
Yeah, you can opt out.
He could be gone after this year or next year. So you got to hold on to either Lewis or. Martin,
yeah, it's
and
no
Lewis.
question. We still envision one of those guys as our shortstop of the future. I don't think we envision Correa as a 10-year guy here.
Sure, but if he's a 3-year guy here, you're still those guys are ready.
Right.
So they'll definitely get a lot of value from him.
I've read into his contract a bit, and it seems like it's more so comparable to like a football contract where except he gets the option. So the option is for Correa. If he has a bad year, he envisions his value closer to $40-45 million a year, maybe even 50 if he was in the right market. I mean, look at the money that Seager got down in Texas. He would want something comparable to that if he was to have a top 10 season, was in the MVP conversation this year. He would deserve to get, that A-Rod huge deal.
Well, good luck to him if he wants it. I don't know how many people are going to spend $50 million.
That's what I'm saying. He can opt out after this year. He can opt out after next year. So the only reason he would opt into his contract, I'm guessing, would be if he does just okay or if he's injured. And that could be a realistic possibility. Sure, we get to keep Correa around, but does that mean that we're not doing that well because he's not that good?
Yankees just don't have a good year, and they just give him like 5 years, $250 million. Like, hey, come be our shortstop.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see it, but right now we're trying to get excited for the season, and buying beers at Target Field is top of the priority for us Twins fans, and I'm excited.
Whiskeys.
or whiskeys, whatever floats your boat. Obviously, this team is going to excite you hitting the ball. Now let's get into a bit of our rotation, right? You mentioned last year, right? Chris, our record in that article, you wrote 39-58 win-loss record.
Oof. Yeah, 39 is pretty low for 162 starts.
That's terrible.
I mean, maybe we had a few openers.
You could get that from two pitchers on a good team.
Starts by starting pitchers, and you only get 39 wins.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They never even had the decisions because they wouldn't make it out of they wouldn't make it through the fifth inning to even be up for consideration. So
that is true. And then our bullpen
take that into account too.
It was the second most home runs given up as a team in the major leagues out of our starters, with the 5.18 ERA that we mentioned earlier. And really, our bullpen-wise, it was the blown saves. We would have probably been a lot more in contention with the White Sox before the trade deadline if we hadn't blown so many games early on in April and May. And I remember being at a good amount of those. Juddy and I were at one where we just
the Mariners game where we were up by 5 and we gave up like 7 in the 8th inning or something.
Yeah.
It's trash.
So I don't know. The bullpen has looked a lot better, at least in the spring training, with the amount of pitchers that we have that we could consider in high leverage situations. We bring over a guy who I've always liked, Joe Smith. Not the Joe Smith that a lot of Minnesota Timberwolves fans are thinking of, but the longtime sidewinder that has bounced around the league, most recently with the Houston Astros, I believe, and then before that he's been in Cleveland and
bunch
the
of
Angels
teams
back in the day.
Yeah.
So the rotation, who are we going to see? Obviously, without any trades, how it sits right now, Sonny Gray, he's our top starter. Obviously, with the way the schedule happened, Sonny Gray wasn't ready to go. A lot of our starters aren't fully stretched out because the lockout and everything, but the way his schedule is towards getting stretched out, we needed him to start in spring training, because if you rest him and then have him go on opening day, then you're double resting him, and then he could be rusty, and you need him to get those reps because of the shortened preseason. So Sonny Gray will be, I believe, our second starter. Is that right, Steve?
Breaking news from Tom Fisk. We just got Will Myers and Chris Paddock.
What?
More power to our lineup.
Okay.
So who did we trade?
Oh, gosh. I'm scared.
We had to have. If they were talking Taylor Rogers, we probably sent them if we got both of those guys.
I hope we traded Kepler.
They don't want Kepler.
No, their outfield is full, isn't it?
Whoa. Tom just said never mind.
Oh,
Tom, I'm giving false
fake news.
Fake news,
Fake
Tom.
news, Tom.
All right, I'll edit that out. Thanks, Tom.
Tom, thanks a lot, dude. Making me look like a freaking
fake tweet got him good.
Shefty.
All right, so back to our rotation that we have.
Sorry, guys.
Not a fake one. Thanks, Tom. 9-year veteran in Sonny Gray, was really good. Still in Cincinnati, obviously not what he was in his days in Oakland, but still, I believe they compared his numbers side by side to Jose Barrios, who was with us until the trade deadline last year, and Sonny Gray was better. Numbers-wise, ERA, whip, everything. So you could say that that's an upgrade there, because Barrios was our ace, whether we wanted him to be our ace for the last few years. We upgrade there if Gray returns to that form. Bailey Ober is a guy who's going to get every opportunity in this rotation. Was pretty good last year. Bigger sample size, obviously, in what we had with Joe Ryan. 26 starts for Ober. He's a tall guy. He's going to give you a lot of innings for a team that's going to need a guy to do that. So he'll be in the middle of that rotation. Joe Ryan, I loved to see Joe Ryan and what he did last year. I'm a big Joe Ryan stan. I think that the Twins found a good one, and Rays fans should probably be pretty mad that they gave up a top prospect to get Nelson Cruz for only a few months, but I'm sure they'll just find a different prospect to pick up down the road, and
They have a really good farm system, so they'll be fine.
So next on our rotation, outside of Joe Ryan, who gets the opening day start on Friday now with the rain delay, Dylan Bundy. So welcome to the Twins, Dylan Bundy. He was good. What was that, 2019? I had him in fantasy baseball, and he had a breakthrough season kind of after he was not great in Baltimore, and he wound up in Los Angeles with the Angels, had a good year, and then a bad year last year. So really don't know which version you're going to get with him, but nonetheless, hopefully he's not giving us huge minutes down the stretch, huge innings. And
Big basketball guy.
Big basketball guy here. All right.
Only thing I know about Dylan Bundy is he blew chunks on the mound at Yankee Stadium last year.
That's the only thing you know about him?
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't need to know anything else about him.
He can't give up more homers than he did last year, so
Yeah.
Did he lead the league or something?
I don't
It
know.
was
His
like
home run to fly ball ratio was insane.
Yeah, his home runs per 9.
He's
was
also
like
only
2
throwing
point
like
something.
90 in spring, so
He was 2-9 last year with a 6 ERA.
Yeah,
we'll see. He's
pretty
got
bad.
he's got a good splitter.
Who was better last year, Dylan Bundy or Shoemaker?
Oh,
Neither.
Pass.
neither.
Joe
Ryan.
Next question.
Yeah, I suppose. Does anybody know who starting on Saturday and Sunday? Does it depend on the...
Gray is starting Saturday, but I can't find
They don't have-
confirmation on who's starting Sunday.
Okay, they probably haven't released it yet, to be honest, because it depends on the rain delay or whatnot.
Bullpen game?
Sure.
I mean, we have 28 guys on the roster.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to use our
Run 'em out
pitchers,
there.
so we're not going to run any starters late in the games that
Let's
we don't
start
have
Theo
to.
Bar on Sunday.
Nice.
And wrapping up our current rotation is the guy we mentioned, Chris Archer. Used to be really good. We'll see what's left in the tank. He said he's feeling as healthy as he's been. He had a tryout down in Arizona with like Michael Conforto and a bunch of other free agents. Kevin Pillar was at that, and they all got their stats like measured and like, you know, spin rates, all the advanced analytics, and they sent it to teams, and they sent it to the Twins, and that's what led to us ultimately signing him. So he has that connection working with the Rays. As Rocco was there for 5 years, they overlapped together, and it's definitely something that I'm excited about. Hopefully anything we get from him would be a plus. Just a $3 million contract for him. So
That is kind of funny. Like, hey, I'm your coach now. Like, remember when we were buddies in the day? I don't know. What is Rocco, like 39 still?
Yeah, he's not 40.
Yeah. Maybe he could play a little bit still.
Rocco,
Yeah,
Spot starts here and there.
sure.
Left field.
we'll take anything we can get. So that's our starters. Any comments on those guys, Steve? Or
I do not have high hopes for Archer. I have higher hopes for Bundy.
Mm-hmm.
I think Archer is toast.
It's been a
Right.
minute since he's been good. Not even dominant, just good.
He has
like,
2 pitches. He
Yeah.
might be able to find success out of the bullpen.
Well, maybe
the
that guy on
fastball
Twitter.
is not what it was. It's probably
No.
hitting low 90s.
no, I heard his velocity's back up at least in
Either way,
the
that's all he throws. So it's
Yeah.
he
fastball
doesn't have
slider.
it.
Maybe he'll be one of those guys that just goes the bullpen, then he's good again, and has like a 2-something ERA.
He's still
Like-
pretty young, so
He's like
33.
32.
He's already
young.
done that. He's already gone to the bullpen before, and
Yeah.
he has not been good.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
he's going to be there to
Well,
limit
that explains
innings.
why we're going after Chris Paddock right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Bump
He's
him
there.
out of the rotation.
He'll pitch through June, and then some of
Injured.
our guns will start getting their spot starts.
yeah. So we'll see. I mean, this is just the opening day roster,
I mean,
so we're just
I
going
hope
through
he
it.
proves me wrong, but that's
I hope he wins the
That's
Cy
what his
Young.
contract is.
I hope he has 350 strikeouts this year.
Should we talk about our bullpen now?
Ugh. Yeah. Sure.
Well, our bullpen looks pretty good on paper. I mean, there's Some familiarity from what we saw last year with a lot of returning guys and a few new faces. Taylor Rogers, obviously going to be our closer. What is a closer anymore in this league? We don't really have a definitive closer, but probably more so than other teams do. Rogers will get the majority of the save opportunities. A guy who's been around, Tyler Duffy, I think he signed that contract last offseason to stick around. So
He's been pretty good the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I remember he used to start, and he was like pretty bad. And then we moved.
Yeah, that was like
story of everyone in the
2016 or 2017.
except for Rogers.
Yeah,
He knew.
Yeah.
Rogers is great.
Jorge Alcala, another top prospect who didn't work as a starter, and we gave him a try in the bullpen. He looked pretty good at times last year, a bit sporadic. He's known to kind of be a little wild, but he throws really high velocity, and he could be in a role in the later innings. Griffin Jacks could be a possibility for the late or long relief opportunities. He was
maybe
a starter,
when we're down 10 or up 10.
maybe in the
pretty bad last year.
Cole DeVries role.
He pitched the other day in spring training. He gave up like 6 runs and didn't get out of the inning, so I don't really have high hopes.
Jax.
Yeah.
He looked good at times. He just doesn't have good stuff, and he wasn't ever a top prospect. So it's interesting. Yeah, you only have so high of expectations for him.
He gave up 23 homers in 82 innings last year.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of homers leaving. the
Yeah,
yard.
that's really bad.
Caleb Theobar is returning, the former St. Paul Saint. After his first stint with the Twins, he really reconciled his career a few years back, making his way to the Saints, and that was before the Saints became a part of our minor league system. So he was part of that independent team, and then obviously got a tryout with the Twins. Really cool story. He's back in our bullpen, and I think our only lefty that we have outside of Rogers. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe we bring in a third lefty, if we want to use Rogers for sure on every save opportunity, or what the deal is with that. Joe Smith, who we mentioned earlier. Jarrell Cotton, welcome to the Twins.
What's up, Jarrell?
He's a guy who's another failed starter with Oakland. And do you remember where he played last year, Steve?
Now he's in the Cubs.
He was on the Cubs.
He was in the
minor
Rangers
league-
last year.
Rangers, okay. Well, he's an option. I don't know, just a late flyer.
He has good StatCast numbers for his spin rate on his pitches. Don't know what that
counts
means,
for something, but yeah, Falvine always loves their spin rate. And
he had some good years as a starter.
if you throw a good slider, our analytics department jumps on the table for you. So
Matt Whistler throwing all sliders.
We still got Danny
Till they hit
Colombe.
it.
He's a lefty. I think he's starting AAA, but I mean he's kind of good.
Smeltzer, AAA.
Yeah, Smeltzer threw 11 innings in spring training, no runs.
Like that.
Like,
Anyone can be a bullpen pitcher. You just throw.
yeah. Like, hey, go pitch 40 innings this year with a 3.5 ERA. Like, okay. It's pretty easy. Just
Done.
Right.
go 2 innings, shutout innings, then give up a run.
Throw 10 sliders,
And then-
get 3 outs.
Yeah. It's like
New
you
look.
have to, like, do good 2 out of 3 times and just have, like, a 3-something ERA.
Right. So we'll see. I'm sure you look at the bullpen at the end of the year and it'll be completely different.
yeah. And the next guy on our list is probably the most exciting guy in the bullpen who we mentioned earlier, John Duran.
Right.
Duran.
He throws a
Throws a
handed-
chundy.
He's throws a splinter.
Splinker?
Splinker?
Yeah,
A
splinker.
sinker and a splitter
Steven
combined.
invented that pitch in 2008.
So
that's where he got that from.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to
Dice
see.
K threw one.
Oh, yeah, Dice K.
Ryan Jeffers says, you get the holy, how does he throw that? All sorts of reactions like that. You get a lot of hitters looking pretty silly. So I'm excited to see that on the big league level. Obviously, he's been pretty successful in the minors, and he's finally getting his chance, still pretty young. So, yeah, just looking at his year, let's see. Last year in AAA, he struck out 22 batters in 16 innings with AAA, and elbow issues held him out of action most of the season. So very limited action. Obviously, before that, he was pretty successful with his strikeout rate. 2019 was the first year we actually got him. If you guys go way back in the Eduardo Escobar trade at the deadline. So fun fact there that we're finally getting some, hopefully, dividends for what we gave up that year.
Was that 2019?
Yeah.
Right. And then we signed Marwin instead of him.
Yeah, which was so dumb. And now Escobar is on the Mets, so
he's been really good last couple.
They're gonna be good.
He's always really good.
I think they'll be
They're the Mets.
Yeah.
They'll do something.
So that is our bullpen, and obviously it's gonna be fun to watch unfold as the year goes on. Josh Winder, obviously a guy who's gonna make the roster with the expanded roster. Starting off, so we'll see what he can contribute in a non-formal starting role, but hopefully he can impress us and maybe beat out Chris Archer or Dylan Bundy eventually for one of those other starting spots.
That's the plan. Get him 120 innings. I mean, he's a top prospect.
Yep. He is, yeah, and we have a few top prospects who are going to be waiting in the wings, whether that's in St. Paul or in Double-A. Jordan Balsavich is a guy who was our top pitching prospect a few years ago. Didn't have the best of years last year. Looking to get back on his feet over in St. Paul. He was pretty good
last year.
And then hopefully we can get some more young pitching. Obviously, Simeon Woods or Richardson. Woods Richardson, the big hyphenated name guy that we got in return for Berrios. He will be not Quentin Richardson. We hope to get to see him at some point, being that Austin Martin, the other big piece we got in that deal.
Is he a bullpen guy too?
No, he's coming up as a starter for now.
He was pretty good last year.
Double-A?
3.6 ERA. It's all right.
Double?
Yeah,
double 5-1.
Yeah, no difference.
He's young though. He's like what?
What are you talking about?
Simeon.
Oh, I was looking at Balazovich.
Oh.
Yeah, so our top prospects, just on the current rankings on the website right now, we have Royce Lewis, Austin Martin, who we got in that Berrios trade, Jose Miranda, of course, who will be up sooner than later, Joe Ryan, still a prospect, sitting at number 4, as this is his rookie year, Jordan Balsavich, Dron Duran, Josh Winder, who we all just mentioned, Simeon Woods Richardson at 8, and Matt Cantorino, another right-handed pitcher. He probably won't be up until next year, maybe late this year. He's 24. And then Noah Miller, another guy that we got in the draft. Very young, only 19. So those are just our top 10 guys, and hopefully get to see some of those names as time goes on later this season in a good way, helping us compete, not in a punt of a year. So,
where do you see Trevor Larnach fitting in this year?
Yeah, that's
too early to pull the cord on him. First round pick.
Yeah,
he had a big slump last year.
Trade him.
Like it was like a 2-month slump.
Yeah,
but I mean, he's still pretty good in my eyes.
But where does he play?
He's kind of the odd man out in the outfield.
He might be on the move.
Yeah, I would trade him. We have outfield depth.
Right.
Can you talk into that mic?
Yep.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know. He's going to be a wild card. Same with Kirilloff. Where are they going to fit in the lineup?
I mean, they just have to take advantage of their opportunity. Like, how are they doing through 100 at-bats if they're hitting 200 and not hitting home runs? Like, okay, well, then you're not going to continue to play.
So, no nonsense.
No nonsense. No second chances.
So let's kind of wrap up the show with... We'll do our predictions, and then we'll do... a little bit of just our thoughts on it's 4 years now. This is the 5th year of the Falvine experiment. Boy wonder out of Cleveland, and it hasn't gone according to plan. I mean, a couple good years sprinkled in there.
Whoa, hold on. We won 101 games in 2019.
I mean, that's 1 year. What else have they done?
2020, we went 36 and 24. I mean, that's pretty good.
I don't know. I mean, we were terrible last year and we were supposed to be really good. And
yeah, well,
I mean, they haven't really done much with any of their players. They haven't made an impact with any of their guys yet, which...
What about Kenta?
Yeah. Kenta was a good move.
Kenta was an okay move, yeah. He wasn't so good last year before getting injured. But, yeah, they've had a few good moves. Nelson Cruz was a really good signing,
that was
of course.
Amazing.
But that's 2 out of, like, their 16 acquisitions.
I'll put Donaldson up there because it gave us the opportunity to get Correa. So.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, we all like the Donaldson signing.
He proved to the world that someone can sign in Minnesota.
Yep, because of Juicy Lucy's.
Maybe he's just trying to get away from being booed, and he was like, oh, Minnesota has the nicest people, so if I play there, then I won't get booed anymore.
Keyword play.
Yeah, he didn't play much.
Can't boo him when he's at home.
I'm talking about Correa. I don't know. Don't they still get booed everywhere they go, the Astros?
Yeah.
Short-term memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Well, he's one of us now, so I like him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna boo Correa. His
The
first
Twins have
at-bat.
a propensity to sign the cheaters and the
Yeah.
steroid.
No.
Little steroid guys.
Trash can.
You're not booing our best player.
Sure, I'm wearing a trash can costume this weekend.
Oh, no.
Easy.
All right. Well, I won't be watching the games.
I'm going to report you. I'm
To
Fake Fran.
Target Field Security.
gonna get light blue shirt wearing people to drag you out of there.
It'll never
Easy.
happen. All right. Well, that was fun bashing Falvine. Apparently, you guys think differently than I do.
I mean,
I don't know.
Falvine, I'm happy
winning
with
100
them.
games is no, like, you don't sniff at
It's
that.
the best year I've been a part of since 2006.
well, also remember we sucked from 2011 to 2016,
16, 17, yeah.
basically. I mean, they took over with not that much to work with. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's still too early to tell, you could say,
Yeah.
because they've invested so much in the farm system, and we haven't really seen any of their guys. Obviously, Duran's probably one of the first guys that we're going to see at the major league level that they really brought over as far as a prospect of their own that they're trying to develop. So,
Royce is like their prodigal son.
yeah, we
That
haven't
was their
seen
first
him.
pick.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see as this year goes on. But let's get into our predictions. So, I think the over-under in Vegas right now, what is that set at? 81.5, I think, last I checked. Or was that after the trade?
oh
The
yeah,
trade didn't do much for the over-under.
I would hit the over on that. Like, not even trying to be biased.
Are you talking about the Paddock trade?
Yes. Oh, Chris Paddock. Oh, guaranteed 100 wins then if we get him.
Gross.
No, I mean,
Market's probably closed right now.
I bet we were like 79.5, and when we got Correa, it's probably like 81.5. I mean, Correa's like a 6 to 7 WAR type player per year.
Yeah, the Twins are set at 81.5. Last year was 73 wins. Obviously, that's a big improvement, and it'll be interesting to see if we can get that with this pitching staff. But I'm looking at this team thinking probably closer to the 85 marker. Just looking at our talent, and if everybody's healthy, I think that this team definitely has the capability to go out there and win some money for us. So I'll definitely throw some money on that over 81.5 wins. What are you guys thinking looks like here in the AL Central?
MLB just came out with their predictions from their Twitter account, and they have the Twins at 83 and 79. So, but then they have the White Sox at 88 and 74. And also, funny, in the AL East, they have the Blue Jays, Yankees, Red Sox, and Rays all at 88 and 74. That's like their official prediction.
Out.
Just like, yeah, all the same.
That's just like throwing darts at a dartboard. Like any one of those teams could take the division.
Or the Orioles.
Oh.
You never know.
Hey, they signed Rougned Odor. Watch out.
Yeah,
Watch
I
out.
mean, you
He's
guys
not going to
laugh,
make
but
their team.
remember how bad the Giants were supposed to be last year, and then they end up being one of the best teams in the league?
Yeah, but the Orioles are... Ugh.
No, the Orioles, I will bet money on the under for whatever they give them. Looks like 62.5. They won 52 games last year.
The
That's
A's
rough.
are going to be really bad. I bet the
they just sold their
Rangers
whole
won't be
team.
good either. Like,
No.
The A's over-under is set at 68.5. They seem to always overperform no matter who they have on the roster, whether it's Chris Davis as their only player they have left or not. I mean, they get rid of Mania. I mean, they got 86 wins last year, and obviously they don't have Matt Olson, Matt Chapman, the mass exodus from that team. I think the only real player they have is like Frankie Montes, who will probably be traded by the
also
deadline.
getting moved, yeah.
I might hit the over on that Rays, 89.5. They won 100 games last year.
Yeah, the Rays will be another possible team like that. Mariners 83.5. That's really interesting
I
because
take the over.
they gave up the most runs, and I think the most run differential, something like that.
Yeah, but now they got Robbie Ray.
I think they're going to win that division.
I hope so.
I think they
hope the
will. It's going to be
Astros
between them and the Astros.
have a
I think
bad
they'll
year.
win.
MLB's got
I
the
say
Astros
the
at
Angels
90
take
wins.
it.
Angels,
Yeah,
if Trout's healthy.
he'll be healthy.
Yeah.
Well, they have the best player in all of baseball in Shohei Ohtani, so any additions that they make
And the
to that
second best
lineup.
player.
Joe Adell, another young prospect who's going to get his chance now with Justin Upton now being let go from the Angels, so that creates a big opportunity for a younger guy like Adell to take that role and run with it. You got Anthony Rendon probably coming back a bit more healthy than he has been the last few years. There's a lot of firepower there always. Noah Syndergaard, another big wild card they bring over, and is he going to be healthy? Well, time will tell. But yeah, they definitely have the firepower to pass the fizzling out Astros as they lose some guys like Correa and Springer the year before. So
Justin Upton got DFA'd.
Yeah, and he was amazing in spring training.
That's tough.
He had
Yeah,
like
talking
11
to Mike.
RBIs.
That's tough. Justin Upton got DFA'd.
That's
Let me
tough.
just scoot on over
Hey,
here.
he still has good stats in the show. Like, I don't know.
Really, what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, his power versus lefties is just like 75. So,
He'll latch on somewhere.
yeah.
He's still got some juice
I
left.
would sign him.
I think they
Sure.
wanted a vote of confidence in Adele.
He's only like 33, 34.
Yeah.
Maybe
Still
a little
hits
older.
bombs. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be fun if the
Yeah,
Angels
34
were in
years
the
old.
playoffs.
I don't know. He's doesn't
He
hit
seems
well for
older 'cause
average
he
last year.
Full time
211.
when he was like 20 or 19
Yeah.
on Arizona.
Well, he came up in the same year as Tulo and who else? There's a top prospect. I have the poster framed from those guys. But yeah,
I think what
retired.
we haven't touched on enough is how very bad the Central is. The other three teams are going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Even you could say Detroit made some ads, but
They're still
their
in
lineup
rebuild.
still has a lot of holes unless
got Javi
everything
Baez
goes
now.
right.
And Austin Meadows.
I don't
but-
think
and Austin Meadows.
I don't think Baez moves the needle,
No, I know.
and I don't think
get why they signed him.
Candelario is as good as he was. And they're still going to give 600 plate appearances to Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah.
I think
I don't think
the White Sox will be the team to battle with, like they have been. But the biggest question mark is probably not with the Tigers, but with the Royals and the Guardians. What are we going to get with either of those teams? The Royals have one of the most exciting young players who made their roster in Bobby Witt Jr., so they're going to be a team to look out for. They're a lot of talent. I mean, a couple of years ago, they didn't look like they were having any sort of direction, but they've really kind of reloaded the gun since their World Series run a handful of years ago, and now they have another solid young group of prospects that are finally going to contribute at the big league level. So I don't know. They're kind of, I would say, a little bit more as a team to watch out for in this division.
You know what's cool? We play the White Sox 6 of the last 9 games, so if it's like kind of close, it just literally comes down to the last week and a half of the season.
And they got rid of game 163 this year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it comes down to kind of like a football tiebreaker. So you don't have these important games going at the end of the year where you're playing like the Diamondbacks on the road. And,
yeah.
I mean, that's still there, but
Yeah, it still counts.
kind of. I disagree that you think the Royals are gonna make any noise this year.
Their over-under is currently set at 74.5. So,
Yeah, it's too high.
I mean, they're going to be a team that if things go their way with
Say that about every team.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not too far off from...
Paddock, Pagan, and Will Myers for Rogers.
I don't like that trade.
We got kind
I
of
like it.
I like
Pagan
it.
is as good as Rogers.
Oh, it
And
actually
another
went
player
through?
not yet named.
We get a player that's not named?
No, they probably do.
Who's your sources?
Tom?
He's
he's
probably
fake news,
fake
Tom.
news again.
I like
Okay.
that.
I'll just shut up for the rest of the pod. I don't know.
I like any
Oh,
trade
Tom.
All right.
giving
sounds
up
good.
our relief pitcher.
Well, we get a starter, so
You-
I'm fine with that.
Getting a starter is always better. I don't know. I'm indifferent on Paddock, but
So Archer's our closer.
Yep.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Someone will close.
Our schedule's kind of tough to
Duffy.
start the year. We play the Dodgers next week, and then we play at Boston, and then we play at Tampa at the end of the month. So hopefully we don't go like 8-15 to start the year. Then it gets easy. We play the Orioles and the A's, and then we play the A's again. I feel like our schedule's easy. I mean, Tigers, Guardians, Royals.
You could go to one of those games
No,
out there in Oakland.
sure. Tickets are like $5.
Yeah, you can get it's like behind home unlimited drinks and food. It's like $100.
Well, now that we have an ace, I would for sure go.
They're going to be the Las Vegas A's hopefully next year.
Soon. Trevor Larnach got scratched
Yeah.
from the lineup tonight. So
Oh,
he's
yeah.
on the move.
Dang it.
Or Kepler, and they're
Wait,
calling
Oh,
Larnach
we even
up.
touched on that. We got too many outfielders that are MLB ready
Yeah.
that needed the opportunity.
So it's either, Larnach or Kepler, probably.
Right.
All right. Well, breaking news, as you heard it here live. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more Twins and all Minnesota sports here on Someday Sports Podcast. And as always, Skull, baby.
Go Twins, go Mariners.
Wait, we're playing each other. Dang it.